What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the pilot episode, the premiere, the first endeavor, the first opportunity to dominate college football with the gun and the shark. I return after a hiatus through the summer, through the NBA playoffs, through baseball, and we enter the sphere of college football. My first opportunity to host the showcase will be focused on my man, a percolating legend in the making, Guns Picks in Maryland, originally from Boston. And Guns, I'm going to retweet the show. How are you feeling on this suddenly not so casual free Friday night?
Let me tell you what, college football's back. And this week's slate, I've never seen a week one slate this big, this great, a lot of competitive games, a lot of just everything from ranked games to even some of the non-power 5 games that I love. And I'm telling you what, I can't wait for this slate to start tomorrow. We've already had Thursday, we've had Friday. Now we're going to roll into the major slate on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, we were looking at this earlier, did a little prep. Now we're on the record. We love to be official. Officials will official. And there's a lot of games on this card, and this is the nature of college football. And I want to enlighten people just briefly on that. Of course, people that followed me originally, mostly NBA-centric, and we drop one play, we drop the play of the day, we drop the top play in the clouds. This is college football. It's centered on one day a week. And ultimately, that one day a week, you might have 12 plays out. And that does not mean you're being a degenerate gambler. It doesn't mean you're reaching. It doesn't mean anything. It means that when every game is played on the same day of the week, you're going to have a bigger card. So you need to manage your bankroll. You need to be responsible. You need to be emotionally centered and trust the analytics. And, of course, my analytics failed me tonight. UNC, I said, not a basketball school anymore. Maybe they are basketball schools. We'll hold that comment for future games. Anyway, let's start this off. Put the shades on. I do it because I have eye issues in the light, not because I'm trying to not showcase these beautiful eyes of the shark.
You're just trying to get in touch with the audience. I see what you're doing. You're trying to grab them. Grab them with those beautiful eyes. Let's go.
And ultimately, welcome people that are coming in on my channel. I love you guys, respect you guys. Patience, intelligence, love, and respect always. And let's go to the first game on the slate. We're going to go straight down the list, and we're going to talk about the big games and the sharpest angles. K-State -3 at Jerry World at noon. Hosting Stanford. Guns, comments.
Hey, listen, K-State is going to be one of those teams. They have a lot of experience coming back. Skylar Thompson is the quarterback there. They're bringing back all their offensive line. I think the key issue on this one is, one, can the defense hold up being a Big 12 defense? And the other key issue on the other side of the ball, you got to look at Stanford. Stanford has been abysmal in the last couple of years, and they're playing at 9 a.m. biological clock time over in Dallas on a neutral field. The line is shifting big time for Kansas. It's at -3, -3.5, depending on what book you get it at. It's getting almost out of that range where it's just going to be a sit and watch for me. But if I can get it 3 and under, that'd probably be the take I do. Kansas State or bust.
Yeah, and shout out to Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes staking himself in the Kansas City Royals. A gentleman's gentleman, if you will. And as we center on this matchup, Kansas State hasn't played Stanford in a bunch of years. I don't know the exact date, but I know it's been over 5 years. The last time they played it was 26-13 Stanford. The previous matchup does matter. We see it every single game in every single sport. I draw you back to the game tonight. Vatek was on a short line, and even better than that. The game last year was 56-45, over 100 points scored, and the line came down 35 points. In this particular matchup, when it's 26-13, the last time out at 39, and the total comes up a little bit, it speaks to just a transition within the Stanford program from really being a defensive juggernaut, maybe less so now, as obviously recruiting has come off of John Harbaugh. And, of course, Andrew Luck back in the day 10 years ago to a current team. And I think the sharp look here would be Kansas State. And I am sanctioned, and I'm allowed to drop an official play from the great Fusini. Kansas State -3. Make it official at noon. Next one, speaking of John Harbaugh, Big Ten. Intra-state matchup against Western Michigan. Shout Antonio Brown. I hope you're well. Guns, are you well in this matchup? Any look here?
So I was looking at the starters coming back and everything like that. Listen, Michigan's going to be starting a new quarterback. Texas Tech transfer Alan Bowman is going under center for Michigan. Joe Milton went to Tennessee. You saw him play on Thursday. Now you got to look at some of the trends here with Western Michigan. You got to look at road openers for them. 3-12 against the spread in road openers if you want to go by trends. But this Western Michigan team was 4-2 last year. Played electric offense. And I think they'll give up points as well on that side. If I had any lean on this one, it'd probably be on the over. What's your take?
I'm riding, baby. I completely agree. This is the same exact environment and the same thing we just mentioned in terms of the Stanford defense. Michigan, going back to the last matchup, did win 52-3. Actually, no, 49-3. So 52 points, but again, a stifling, suffocating defense. And, of course, when you see a total that hovered around 50 that comes up 16, 17 points, books are not generally giving you 17 points of allowance space. This is telling you the game is going to shift to a different pace. And Western Michigan does like to track meet. I have made quite a bit of money betting Western Michigan in home games in conference dating back to past couple seasons. But, again, in a season opener, I don't think we're going to see Michigan's top level of defense, and I think we're just seeing a different brand of ball. My first official play, and also, not coincidentally, an official from the great Fusini, over 66, Michigan hosting Western Michigan. Guns, next up, Rice at Arkansas. Total 50, 19.5 line. Comments?
So with Rice, you got to look at time of possession. This team was number 2 in the country in time of possession last season. And you got to look at Arkansas on the other side of the spectrum. They were 125th in time of possession. So what Rice likes to do to strategize is to control the time of possession. I see them doing it here. This line is set at 19.5, and I haven't seen anything on the Arkansas side that tells me that they have gotten better at all. I think this goes back to when they played Marshall, and Marshall was a big 20-plus favorite to Rice and actually lost outright. So I'm going with Rice plus 19 on this one as my play.
I love it. Shout out to Rice for being a very elite, intelligent, intellectual school within Texas as well. We like the brain and we like to forecast. Now we're going to take you to slightly more premier matchups here. Indiana at Iowa. 18 and 17 in the country, respectively. A grudge match, revenge game here coming in here. Iowa at home, 3:30 p.m., ABC in the Big Ten. Guns picks. Comments, please.
You got to look at it's a tough place to play in Connect. Now, Indiana, while they had a good season last year, 6-2, but Iowa was also 6-2 as well. And you got to look at the net yard average. I love net yard average in a lot of my plays. I use it a lot in my write-ups when I send it out to GPO Lock. Shout out GPO Lock. Minus 19 net yard average last year for an Iowa team that was, a Indiana team that was 6-2. I know everybody's high on Indiana and Penix, but I think they're going to have some regression in this spot. I think anything 4 and below for Iowa is a perfect play. Give me Iowa -4, -3.5. That's probably the play I would take.
I like it. Nothing official from me. I've said this off the record as we get on the record in the very beginning of this channel, this feed, this show. The Big Ten is very difficult for me. I think it's one of the sharpest graded by books historically, obviously highly competitive and just difficult to bet. Next one, marquee matchup, number 1 of the day, Alabama Crimson Tide at Miami. Will Miami come back? We were talking about this before. What is there to go back to? This team has not been anywhere since around the turn of the century. They haven't recruited well. They haven't coached well. They've had coaching turnover. They've changed stadiums. To be frank, their mojo is gone. I've watched some games live down in Miami. I've watched them on TV, and you were referencing a game that they lost to Clemson last year. I'll throw it to you here. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Alabama, Miami.
This reminds me of the game when they played Clemson last year. I think it was like week 4, week 5. You have De'Ara King going against an elite, strong Clemson team in a ABC spot premier game. They weren't ready for that game and they got smoked. I see the same thing happening here with Alabama. I don't care how much turnover they had in there. Bryce Young, I watched him in the spring game. He is absolutely elite. Nick Saban brings nothing but elite players every year in, year out. De'Ara King has been also talking some trash to Alabama. And you think that's going to hold weight towards Nick Saban here. While I don't like the game total because I think it's a little bit high, I'm looking at the first half for Alabama in this spot. Listen, Alabama opening games, first halves have been absolutely muddy. I suggest if you're going to take the game, you take the first half and watch Alabama absolutely steamroll this team early.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm not going official with this. I may tomorrow, but this is a trend that exists. Trend betting oftentimes is a little bit public, but when you're betting a trend, if you're ever going to do it, you want to bet Nick Saban. He recruits better. He coaches better. He is wiser, stronger, better, faster in all ways. Bama first half with significant merit here. Next,
plus, he shows up at premier games every time. Him and Dabo Swinney. We'll get to him in a second.
Absolutely. And one more comment just on that. Obviously, in a neutral site, sort of like a postseason environment, I think he will have his guys absolutely ready to go under the lights here. Next one, 7:30, Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, Georgia at Clemson. Guns.
Everybody's high on Georgia. I know JT Daniels is going to be taking over for his first full season with the team, and they're bringing back a lot of starters on both sides of the ball. You have a Clemson team that is, rebooting, losing a lot of people to the NFL, losing Trevor Lawrence, losing Travis Etienne, but they bring DJ Uiagalelei. I might be saying that name wrong. Uiagalelei. I'll get that name right before the end of the season, but this kid is legit. He showed up in Notre Dame on the road and played an overtime game in his first start. Now, don't you think this kid will show up on premier games? Dabo Swinney shows up in premier games. Kirby Smart doesn't. If there's any take on this one, you got to be taking Clemson all the way.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I do think in these big matchups, and I got to give a shout. I give a lot of shade to NCAA sports in general. College basketball does this as well. And this is, I think, the first time we've really seen the absolute marquee teams play each other in week one in college football. Great way to kick off Labor Day. And these are going to be emphatically awesome games to watch. Nothing official from me there, although I would never disagree with backing Clemson and Dabo in this environment. Next one, we are moving to the LA Coliseum, number 15 team in the country. Are they overrated? Are they not? Shout to Eddie, my dude, San Jose State, wide out, 2011. What's going on with San Jose State, Guns?
I love San Jose State this year. Listen, this team won the Mountain West Conference last year. They were 7-1. They did have a bad bowl game against Ball State last year, but I digress. You watch them play against an abysmal Southern Utah team. FCS, nonetheless, you can't really take much from that performance there, but they're playing a USC team that has not proved anything to me. I know Slovis is a highly touted Heisman finalist, but we got to be going with San Jose State. Nick Starkel is absolutely electric. The wide receivers are electric. And Nevin, the running back there, this little electric guy just running around. I can't see them losing by 13, 14 points in this spot. If anything, it's going to be close. Give me San Jose State on the plus all day long.
Yeah, full alignment for me as well. I think when you go back to last year, San Jose State was an ATS juggernaut, and people kept trying to fade them down the stretch, and they went nowhere. They returned most of that team, and as you said, yes. USC does not necessarily come out particularly well out of the preseason. USC perpetually overrated as well. Definitely one of those names on the jersey type of university, similar to the University of Miami. Not a lot going on in the last decade, and I really think the number 14 here as a line is a stock average, not really telling us a great story, in which case you do go more sort of the narrative points, which are San Jose State, deep roster, really a veteran group, and it's a great buy. This is going to be official for me and as well the great Fusini. This is the first trifecta alignment on the show. San Jose State plus 14. Next one, Syracuse Orangemen, off a bit of an upstart campaign, traveling out of conference to the University of Ohio, the perpetually confusing University of Ohio. Are you confused, Guns, or is there a bit of a lean to this matchup?
If anything, it's a lean, but it's not an official play yet. But Ohio, I like this team. They are one of the strong teams in the MAC conference, going against a lower tier ACC team in a bad spot. I think Ohio is going to be a little bit more pumped for this one, where Syracuse kind of gets more pumped about going against conference opponents. So if I had a lean here, I'd probably be taking the dog, I think at +1 or at money line at that point. Might as well be taking and I'll say lean, Ohio Bobcats.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you in any other direction there. I think this is short for a reason. Of course, week one lines are naturally unadjusted and hard to read. We are extremely data deficient, but Syracuse should be laying at least 4.5 to 5.5 points here minimum. You could even argue close to a touchdown in this matchup. It's very short. It definitely suggests there's an upstart movement in Ohio here on a suddenly not so casual September 4th. Send it Saturday. It is Sharky Waters Nation. 9 words or less. Now, ride the wave or get out of the water. A few more games to discuss. We're trying to get through this quickly. I do some longer shows. I do some shorter shows. We try to get about 20 minutes in and out. We want to get you guys in and out. We want to make it easy to listen to. We want to drop the best plays possible. Next one, LSU. A bounce-back season potentially against Chip Kelly and UCLA. Guns, an official play, I believe.
This is an official play for me on the inaugural episode of Shark in the Gun. LSU -3 is the play I'm going to be dropping on you. Let me tell you why. Everybody is saying, oh, look at UCLA after playing Hawaii and beat them. Well, you got to look at the situation here. You got to look at Dorian Thompson. Dorian Thompson only had 130 yards and completed 50% of his passes. They got 17 points either off a interception from the defense or with their special teams. Now LSU is coming back. They got a quarterback named Max Johnson, I believe his name is. And you got to look at the stats on the back end of those two games. He played Florida, he played Mississippi, and he played electric to get them W's for an abysmal LSU team. I think that people are holding too much weight to what happened last season. This team had opt-outs, they had COVID, they had everything that happened to them that was detrimental to their season. It was a rebuild year from an electric 2019 season. Don't sleep on Coach O. Don't sleep on LSU Tigers. This is a game that I don't believe in Chip Kelly. I believe in Coach O. Give me LSU -3 all day long.
Love to hear it. Love to see it. And let's move forward. We're going to a slightly smaller market game here. This is one of my top plays of the day. I will give a major shout out to Brett Favre, a legend. Two legends, hopefully in the making within this sphere. Guns Pick, Shark and Sports. Thank you guys for tuning in. University of Southern Mississippi -1 has now moved to +1. My top play of the day, 32-21 last year. Again, this is where you do find data within the conference. They are conference opponents, and they did play last year. 32-21 loss at home, and then the books move you to a favorite on the road in the opponent's stadium. It gives you a lot of line transparency and subsequent narrative transparency, suggesting a lot of roster turnover and growth for Southern Mississippi and subsequent loss for Southern Alabama. This will be USM +1 official for the Shark. Guns, comments.
Listen, I think everybody holds weight to what happened last year. USM had some very huge struggles as far as the offense and the defense are concerned. People were highly touting them to be one of the top teams in the conference. I think this is a reload year for them, and for them to see this short line, I think this is a testament to public perception. I agree with you all day long. I think this is going to be an outright win for Southern Miss.
Absolutely. Next one, similar environment, although we are going to the Big Ten. Illinois hosting the University of Texas San Antonio, UTSA, for those that do not like long words. Guns, comments.
Listen, everybody's going to hold weight to what happened with Illinois last week versus Nebraska. I was hoping that Illinois would win that game outright. I was hoping they would because they had to play UTSA, and I wanted UTSA on the plus, and I am taking UTSA on the plus in this situation. Let me tell you why. This team was 7-5. This team made a bowl. This team only lost by Louisiana Lafayette by 6 points in a bowl game. They're bringing back virtually everybody on both sides of the ball, including the most dynamic running back, underrated, Sincere McCormick, 1,600 plus yards on the ground last year, and Frank Harris, a year older, a year wiser. The wide receiver core is still intact, and the offensive line is still intact. Utah is getting better. Second-year head coach is coming into this game. It's going to be a Power 5 team in this game. So not only am I going to be taking the number on this one, a little sprinkle on the money line might be the play on this one as well. So give me Utah all day long.
There's full alignment for me here. I look at the short line. Illinois coming off a conference victory last week as an underdog to Nebraska. They do find all the aforementioned points from my esteemed partner, The Gun. Guns picks. Full alignment official from me, UTSA +4.5. And the second trifecta play with the great Fusini as well, +4.5. Two trifecta plays We will recap that in full. 20 minutes in the books. Sharks and Sports, Knowledge for College Football, The Gun, The Shark, September 4th, 2021, the pilot episode. Back on here next Friday. We'll bring some guests on along the way. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Guns, any parting words?
Listen, you got to follow GPL Lock on Slack. Hit me up in the DMs if you want to join. Full cards coming out tonight, so it's going to be absolutely electric. Hey, it's the first Saturday. Let's keep it easy. Let's not blow our bank accounts. Let's just roll in here, try to gauge out the system. Pick your top 5 plays and just roll with it. But thank you for joining me, Shark, and let's just keep this rolling all year long. Peace.